Just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if they're sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right, this Bad Weather Fans, episode number 218. Mike Pasecchia, Alex Beneszowicz, and the New York Knicks losers in Game 5 to the Philadelphia 76ers, 112-106. It's been a wild week for the series. Knicks lead the series 3-2. This comes before, right, or I should say, this comes right after the Knicks had a great win in Philly to make the series 3-1. And then, which was all Knick fans roaming the streets. Bad look for the Sixers, good look for the Knick fans. And then Game 5 happens where Philly goes into New York, does the unthinkable, down 6 with, I think, 28.6 on the clock, and Tyrese Maxey takes over the game and then some. In an OT, the Sixers get the win, and we have a Game 6 now back in New York, which has been a very competitive and fun series back and forth. For those not as interested in seeing the Knicks or Sixers win, it's just been a wild series. But Alex, good morning. As I ramble on, how are you?
I'm doing great. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm doing great. I need a cough button, but I like Jadakiss to start the show. I'm not happy though. I mean, I'm not distraught though. I texted you that last night. Like, it was weird because you would think after a game like that, I'm just like, inconsolable. But I was just like, you know what? We were up 3-1. Now it's 3-2. Basically have the home court advantage in Philly, and they had the game won. I mean, Maxey traveled and jumped into Mitch, but I'm not going to bitch about the refs. It happens, You gotta, if you're Mitch, you just stand there with your hands up or run away. Let Maxey shoot the three. Just get away from him. Leave him alone. Even if he hits the three there, you get fouled, you hit some free throws, you win the game. And that's it. It's just, it's rough. But you know what? Knicks fans are gonna go to Philly again. I posted a tweet last night of, hey, with the link for the Ticketmaster of the tickets on sale, and literally 96 link clicks. 96 link clicks. Right. And their fans are going again. And I may go. We'll see. I got a baby, so there's a lot of coordinating that goes in there. But it's a 9:00 game now because the Bucks won, which makes no sense because the Bucks and Pacers are both on Central Time Zone. So you would think that they would be the later game. So it's weird.
Well, no, it isn't.
Whatever.
It actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so then explain it to me because I don't understand.
Because Knicks Sixers is way more interesting to a national audience than Bucks Pacers. So when you put it at 9:00, you get the West Coast audience.
But fuck the West Coast. Why do I care about the West Coast?
Well, because the NBA doesn't care about you. They care about ratings all around. I'm not telling you if you should agree or disagree. They want the money. They want the dollars. So if you're a random fan, that's, first of all, you guys remember too, the Bucks have nobody of interest from a national level, and they might have guys back, I don't know, to watch completely. But the Knicks 76ers, like it or not, has been compelling and has had fucking filled with drama. So you put it at 9:00. You then get the person that's a big avid NBA fan out in Utah that's like, oh, okay, this is only 7:00 for me, and not 4:00 where I'm still leaving work. I can go ahead and watch this game. So that's what they're thinking of. They don't care about you. They don't get, because they know, Alex, that you are going to watch. They could put that at 3 a.m, and you have to get tickets on the moon. And you'd say, I got to figure out how to get to the moon.
I don't know.
They know they have you. They want to get the money from the person out west.
Well, then why didn't they do that last night for Game 5? I mean, the Bucks and Pacers are starting later. It just makes no sense.
It's building, man. It's built.
I don't know.
What has happened in these games? First of all, Game 2, which you could look at it a couple ways. I'm sure, Game 2 and Game 5 felt like it was over for one team and they flipped. So you have those two games, which have been incredible. You have everything that has been surrounding Embiid, the flagrant fouls, Maxey's dominance, Brunson's dominance, the Knick fan going into Philly and embarrassing the Sixer fan, the crowds at the Garden. It's just built up. Whereas there's series, Alex, where it's 3-2, but you're like, these games have been terrible, right? Where it's like
Right,
the home, like, look,
blowout.
I mean,
Right, yeah.
last night was finally a decent game, but let's look at Cleveland and Orlando. Games 1 and 2, 3 and 4, they've just been duds for the most part, and then game 5 was good. But it's been home team blowout win. Who cares? These games, every game, doesn't matter where it is, has been, and I tweeted it, and I was slightly wrong, thank God. But it's been Philly big lead, Knicks storm back. Oh, you think it's over? Actually, Philly takes the lead. They go up by a couple, and then in the fourth quarter, either Embiid folds, or the one game he was solid, and then last night Embiid was bad, but Maxey was just all worldly. So all these, and then on the Knicks side, the crazy comeback win that they had when DiVincenzo hits the three, the great win in Philly, and whatever the other one was that I'm missing, just zapped it out of my brain.
It's all right. We all know the game. Yeah, you don't have to
But
summarize.
you know what I'm saying? Like these have been great games. You know, they've been very good back and forth playoff games, and it's as competitive as it can be. You know, and for all of our sanity and for the good of peace, let's hope that the Sixers get a win. But I don't know. I mean, these games have been so unpredictable that you can't just. There's no such. I would say this. There's no momentum. Like, oh, Philly's gonna go. They got the. Who the hell knows? Knicks had a big win in game 2, went into Philly, and Philly won.
Yeah, and the one game that was sort of like there was not much drama and the Sixers just won was game 3 when Embiid scores 50, but then there was drama off the court with, well, I guess it was on the court with the dirty plays by Embiid, and then all of a sudden, oh, I have Bell's palsy, let's change the subject from me trying to injure players, so they were able to talk about something else. Like that was cowardly as well, it's been a weird series and there has been a lot of drama. It does feel like a throwback series, to like the 90s, of like, back and forth through the papers and the media and the drama. But that's New York, man. It's going to get more attention. And I know as a Nets fan, you're like, well, I've known Embiid is so dirty. And, Knicks fans know it too. But it's in our face now. And more people are seeing it because it's a Knicks series. Yeah, and not a Nets series, and that's just the bottom line. And that's not to put you down or the Nets fan down. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Look at what's happening. There's more attention on the Knicks Sixers series than there was on a Nets Sixers series.
Yeah, Alex, I agree with you, but to bring it up to bring it up for fun is putting me down.
It's not for fun.
I agree with you. Yes, of course, there's more eyes
because I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, "Oh, I've seen it already." That's what you're going to say.
Well, if you're going into your lawyer book and looking ahead at me, sure. Yeah, yes, I have seen it already. Yes,
I listen to Evan, so I hear. Okay. No, I know what you're gonna think.
Don't say that. Evan getting his ideas from me. No, that's not true. But yes, I've known about this. Yes, I've seen this, and that's why I had.
So have I.
I have evidence to show it. I've seen Embiid on multiple occasions do this to my team. I was in Philly for the game where he elbowed Jarrett Allen. I was at that game. That's we're up 1-0 in the series. They were actually, I think, they were up 2 in the second half of game 2, and I was like, holy shit. No, since that moment, downhill. I saw what happened to Nick Claxton in game 3 when Nick walked over Embiid, and then Embiid essentially kicks him in the balls. Yes, I've seen that, and I know that, Alex. I'm not naive to understand that, yes, it's the Knicks and they're getting more attention, and that's why this is getting blown up more. I understand that. I said, and you can go back in the archives on this podcast, I went to Nets Sixers game 1 last year in Philly, and I said the crowd was bad. And everybody's like, oh, you're being a hater because of the net crowds.
So 76ers fans were bad, right?
And then the other thing was, well, they know they essentially have the first round win because they're and I was like, I hear you. I was not impressed. And that was not coming from a place of trying to be a hater. I was legit like, this is not that great of a playoff environment. I just don't think it is. Now, the difference there was that it was the Sixers versus the Nets. So it wasn't the you didn't have all the net fans. There was net fans there. I saw them. It wasn't like we were there we were there.
Right.
It wasn't the same. I understand that. But I could see how that could happen based on just how lackluster that crowd was when you had a fan base, not like the Knicks in the sense of the amount of people coming in to travel. You have to remember too, and you've said this, they're a sleeping giant, right? Which
Right.
I equate
The
to
Knicks fan base.
the Knicks fan base, which I equate to a front runner. How I see it. If
Oh,
they're all
come on.
sleeping and then they come out when it matters,
come
I don't
on.
know. That seems like a front runner to me, in my opinion. But they're sleeping and they're ready, and the Sixer fan, for whatever reason, it's a deeper conversation on their side, has something with this fan base, with this team, because you see what they're like at Eagle and Phillies games is different.
Oh, yeah.
There's something. It's something with the Sixers they despise, and they don't give a fuck about them to go see them. So I could see how this all bubbled, and I'm not surprised by it. I'm not surprised by it. But yes, now the national attention is seeing it. Now the rest of the media is seeing it because it is the Knicks, and because Ben Stiller is there, it brings that attention.
Right. And Tracy Morgan gave Maxey the finger. He got caught on TV. I don't know if you saw that picture. It was pretty funny.
I did not.
And honestly, it's also to your point, and like it's not, how do I say this? So Knicks fans have been traveling all year, and you know that, and last year. And Knicks fans are jacked up about this team, and they traveled, with the mellow year, the big mellow year too. When Knicks fans are jacked up, they're gonna go to away games and they're gonna take over. And it's happened the last couple of years because they like this team and it's fun. And especially the first year with the Randall stuff. And it's just that was a team after COVID and it just came out of nowhere. And now, like the last year and this year, we're just excited and they're going to travel. And not only are they going to travel, there's just a lot of New Yorkers everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So especially you go to Florida, Miami and Orlando is full of Knick fans.
Wow.
It's almost a home game. Philly is close. So there's going to be Knick fans. And we saw that in the regular season too. And they even said that on the Roommates podcast that they were surprised that Knicks fans took over in Philly during the regular season. So I wasn't surprised that there were a ton of Knicks fans in Philly. People who don't pay attention as much, obviously, because they're not following the Knicks every single day. That's not even a shot. It's just, you're not paying attention to the crowd, ratio, at games. And which is understandable. They don't see that the Knicks fans have been everywhere. So I'm not surprised. The one place where they haven't taken over is Boston. So if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals and play them, that's going to be tough. But that's part of why I'm not afraid of Game 6, because I know it's going to be sort of a neutral site. So it's not like we're going on the road to Indiana in 1998 or something. It's just like, what if I don't know if they played in 1998, don't kill me, but I'm just giving a year. And it's like the Reggie Miller, some the Sixers fans have embarrassed themselves, let's put it that way, over to social media in the last 2 weeks. They're just embarrassing. And there was one guy, he put out Maxey on the Reggie Miller choking thing, when he did it to Spike Lee and whatever, he had the points in a few seconds and whatever it was, and I tried to forget that. And the Knicks won that series. So if you want to bring that up, that's great. It's like Candace Parker did the same thing. So it's to slow down here. I'm not worried, and Knicks fans are going to be in Philly. I'm just not afraid. Tyrese Maxey though is one guy that if Joel Embiid lost respect from everybody in New York this series, Tyrese Maxey gained it. He is that dude. And after games, he is saying the right things. He's respectful. And then he just shows up and balls, man. And that's his team, and Philly fans probably know that. They're probably done with Embiid and tired of his always injured and is complaining. And they're kind of a, blue collar city, and they probably don't like all the flopping, I don't know. What do you think about that?
There's probably, I believe there's something to it, because the Sixers, I think the little bit of their jadedness comes from, let's say the Knicks lose in the first round or the second round and they do it 6 straight years. And this is just like, if you were in 6 years from now, if this is the same Knicks team and you do it again and again, eventually you're just like, I know how this is going to end. And I think there's some of that where Philly has been promised through this whole process that they were going to win a championship. You have what happened with Ben Simmons. James Harden was here, then traded. And I think there's a tiredness of this team when they max out at the second round every single year. It's the same thing. So I think there's some of that too. I can't speak as much on the Embiid part, because I know when somebody's on your team, you defend them to the bitter end for the most part. And you see, you kind of see through the net. You don't see the negative, right? Like, to me, I watch Jalen Brunson play and he's incredible, but you don't see, probably in my eyes, I'm like, this guy is James Harden 2.0 with the fouls that he gets. And he's a master at it, and he does it incredibly. And Knick fans are like, He doesn't get calls. Meanwhile, the guy's at the line 10 plus times every night. He's great at
That's not
manipulating
true.
through the
That's not
paint.
true. There
Look
was a
at the
game. Game
series.
3 was when Embiid had more free throws than the entire Knicks
Right.
team.
So, but
So,
my
yeah,
point to
that's
you is
not
you
true.
find the lens.
That's an
of what you want to-
exaggeration,
You find
though.
the
He
lens
does
of what
look
you
for
want to
fouls.
see. You find the
Yeah.
lens of what you want to see. Now, from my perspective, watching it both, I'm in a safe place. I'm going to say it. Yeah, I think but hey, he does a great job at it, and he continues with it, and good for him. He's done a masterful job of that. Two, I don't think you would get the same response in Indiana. I think that's the one place that there are no
Nobody
Knick
wants to
fans.
go to Indiana.
There are
Yeah,
no Knick. There are no New Yorkers, and there are no Knick fans. And
I do have a friend in Indiana, by the way. I do
sure
have
you
a friend in Indiana.
Yes.
So like I may go if they go to Indiana because I have a
really
place
hope
to stay.
I really hope to God that the Sixer fans show up for Game 6.
Oh,
and
they're not.
That they saw that what happened on whatever night it was for Game 4, Saturday night or Saturday, whatever it was, it's all blended together. That they really come out and have a little bit of a different showing, because that was pretty pathetic. It was really bad.
There were a lot of Knicks fans there on Game 3, but we didn't notice it because they weren't dancing after the game because it was during the week, and they lost. But Game 4 they win and they're chanting "fuck Embiid" in the corridor.
Yeah, and Embiid called it out.
Wells Fargo.
Embiid called it out. So from there, I think you have an interesting part of.
But they could want to take over and go, and Knick fans could just get to the tickets on StubHub or Ticketmaster because we didn't know there'd be a Game 6, especially when they're up 6 with 28 seconds left. You know what I'm saying?
As convenient as it is for Knick fans to go there, it is still more convenient for Philly people.
Of course,
and I know you tweeted something out that got 97 click views. But that doesn't mean that 97 people bought tickets. 97 people drove them.
That means 97 people saw the tweet and they're going to tell a friend to tell a friend, and it's going to go out and spread out. I'm not saying I'm like, on WFAN here. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying I hope that the Sixer fans saw what happened and have a little bit of respect for themselves and know that this is a mulligan where they can do a better job and take it over, or not take it over, but just regain essentially what is their home court back to them. I will ask you this, and you said you're not worried. Are you more worried now than when the series started?
Yes, because yes, but it's not a lot. Like Robin Lundberg put out a tweet last night, and it kind of annoyed me. Where he let me read it because I responded. We had I like Robin, but it was one of those things where it was just like, come on, dude, kind of a thing. Like you're just hating. You're a Nets fan that's hating, and you're looking for a little thing. And
I'll see if I agree or disagree.
He said,
I'll put the hate aside.
That Sixers win almost made up for Game 2. Like, okay, that's fine, right? No, totally understandable if you look at it that way in a vacuum. And then he goes, the Knicks should still win this series, but it's no certainty. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, first of all, I just wrote what do you call it? An eye roll, and whatever. We went back and forth. Point is that the Knicks haven't lost back-to-back games with OG Anunoby in the lineup. The period. So you're expecting them to lose 3 games in a row now? Like, come on.
Let me eat that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, hasn't lost 2 games in a row. Here comes 3. Eat. Oh God. Spoon feed me that stat. To disappear.
They haven't lost 2 games in a row. So even if they lose Game 6, you're expecting them to lose 3 in a row. Like I can't see it, especially since they are the better team. You know what I'm saying? Like they are.
I will say one thing that has changed since the series has started, and a couple of things. One, you've lost your 7th man. Or your forward.
Bogdanovich. That's huge.
Bogdanovich is not here anymore, and that does play a role in it.
And Alec Burks isn't healthy. And we just found that out. He has a shoulder issue. Yeah.
So Burks doesn't play. Bogey doesn't play. I have never seen a series in the first round where it felt like, and maybe it's just been a long time, but that felt like, and maybe for me, I've either seen the Nets kill teams or get killed. I've never seen like a really good first round matchup since basically, oh man, whatever the years were with Vince Carter or whatever. But this feels like 3 rounds deep because, and I want to pull up the minutes. I mean, the Knicks are playing guys 45 plus minutes. All of them.
They have no choice at this point. Yeah.
Right. So my point to you is these teams are gassed, and you saw it at the end, and the injuries play a huge part of it because Tibbs is not going to trust I don't know who you're going to throw out there with these guys, right? Who is it? There isn't anybody. So I think the Knicks' strength is their depth over Philly, but it's been brought down a notch on that spot. So there, I would expect the Knicks to win. I think they will win. I think they are the better team. I think over a long series they'll prove that. But I'm not. But I can't sit here and be for me. I can't speak for you and be like, oh, they got this. Like these series have been bonkers, man. Like I can't. If I had to bet money, promo code BWF, I would lean with the Knicks. If I had to picture, if I'm just leaning like, taking all the aside, I just need a win to advance. I would pick the Knicks. But I wouldn't go in there like it's, Celtics Heat feeling like that. Like there is some room for bizarreness. There is room for some crazy shit. And the Sixers have proven. So I'm just kind of elaborating on Robin's tweet that it's not like, it's not a certainty, right? But I would lean that way. But I can't sit here after everything.
Well, nothing's a certainty in sports. Nothing is like it's going to happen. So then, what I mean? But it's just literally. So it's just a stupid thing to say.
Well,
I mean,
that's just like Robin's tweet. I get you, but
I like Robin though. You know what I mean? But it just bothered. It bothered me. Yeah.
That's fine. Well, then he did his.
He's been on the show. I like Robin. He's a good guy.
Then he did his.
I know what he's doing too. He's a Nets homer, and he's got to spin everything into a Nick hate Nets thing. And this is also kind of like the Knicks Celtics series in 2013. The year that people try to gloss over that didn't happen with the Melo year with the 54 wins. Like it's a different team they're playing. Obviously, they played the Celtics in the first round, and they had the Garnett and Pierce and those guys. Jason Terry, I know you're familiar with them. They were on the Nets like the next year. So the Nets saw this and they were like, "Oh my God, we got to get those guys." Where the Knicks were up big in the series, and then J.R. Smith elbows Jason Terry in the face, and it awakes the old guys, and they're like, "Oh, fuck this!" And they go in and they win 2 games, and then the Knicks go to Game 6 in Boston, and they go up like 30. And the funny story about that game, I'll tell you in a second. They go up like 30, and then they come back, but the Knicks end up winning and in Boston and advancing to the second round. Funny story about that. I just started dating my wife at the time. Well, she wasn't my wife yet, obviously. She was my girlfriend. And Game 6, it's a big playoff game. And her parents say, "Hey, we bought tickets for Cirque du Soleil outside of Citi Fields." And I'm like, it's the fucking playoffs. But I just started dating my wife. So I'm like, you know what? I got to go. So I shut off my radio in my car. I DVR'd the Knick game and like 5 shows after the Knick game to make sure that I can watch this, game without any issues. And I'm watching it, and it's like a 30-point game, and they're crushing him. Shumpert had some big putback dunk or something, and then they start, and I'm like thinking like, oh, I can't wait to turn my phone on and talk to my friends. And all of a sudden, the Celtics start coming back. They start coming back. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm sitting here at like 2:00 in the morning watching this by myself, and it was funny. And this is like before Twitter was big, so that was a funny. I'll never forget that game because of that. But that's a little sidebar.
Yeah, just living that moment. It's always weird too when you think about like living that moment after everybody has, and that there was a result in the atmosphere.
And you're thinking
you don't know. It's also basically at this point you have to just turn your phone off, not go on the internet, and make sure you understand how to use your TV properly. Which I failed to do.
Change the channel from the game that the channel that the game is on.
Right. Don't fuck.
I shut the radio off in my car before I got in my car.
Yeah, you got to
make sure I was like on Hot 97 or something, not on any sports channel.
No, you got to equip yourself. Here's the minutes, Alex, from last night, and there was 5 minutes overtime. So Josh Hart 53, which means he played the entire game.
Wow.
Hardenstein 26, Mitch 25. So those were split basically. There was a couple of minutes of small ball, but you see there's the splits there. DiVincenzo 25, he was bad. 3 for 10, 1 for 7 from 3. I almost feel like when he goes, the Knicks go. Brunson did his thing, 40 points, 15 of 32 from the field, 50 minutes. So he got a 3-minute break. Anunoby 50 minutes. So I mean that is a heavy dose, but I'm not it's not like the Philly isn't doing the same. You look at this side, Tobias Harris 49, Embiid 47, Oubre 39, Lowry 26, and then Maxey 51, Batum 33, and then Reed getting 3, Payne 13. So it's the same thing, but the attrition that is being the miles that are being put on these Knicks players. Like you can't, let's say the Knicks advance and they do play the Pacers. you can't play these guys. There has to be, especially game 1 and 2, you have to take Brunson back to 40 minutes. You can't just play guys 48 minutes for
true.
a month. It's impossible. At some point, it'll catch up to you. You can't. I don't know. Like, it was such a big deal when Durant played those back-to-back 48-minute games. And he had to carry more of a load than Josh Hart does on the scoring department. But Hart does that.
Sorry
if
I'm distracting you here.
No, it's okay.
The sun is in my face.
Just want to tickle your armpit when you put your arm up.
God, no, it's just like the sun was in my face, and it was like it wasn't there when we were doing the show in the morning. It's like 6:45 in the morning, and there was no sun. And then all of a sudden, it's obviously it's the morning, but like it came like right in my face.
PSA: the sun rises.
The sun will come up in the morning tomorrow. Yes.
Hopefully it doesn't after a collapse of epic proportions.
Anyway, yes.
It would be
okay, continue.
Yeah, just saying these. You can't with all these injuries now.
Yeah.
And there's no certainty too. Like, I have no trust in Mitchell Robinson lasting series. Dirty plays or not, the guy's always injured, and that would be a comment.
So is Embiid, though. Yeah, same thing.
I'm not talking Philly. I'm talking New York.
Okay.
That they can't. Tibbs is going to have to trust guys a little bit. You can't play. And now this was overtime. But you can't play guys 46 to 48 minutes every night, every game. But
that's what the Knicks
have. Well,
47 minutes. Yes, that's a little ridiculous. Like, if you want to play everybody 40 minutes a game, like they can do that.
This is not. I'm saying he's playing Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Brunson every second of these games.
Right, and Josh Hart is just known as like, and now he's just, I'm going to play every minute. It's like, that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to sit for a few minutes. But the problem is the Knicks don't have anybody on the wing or at the guard to play those minutes. I mean, Precious Achiuwa is a center. And like, if anything, to your point, like, you don't have to play Mitch a bunch of minutes and Hartenstein a bunch of minutes. You can go to Precious Achiuwa and give him 5, and he'll be fine. You know what I mean? He'll hold the line, so to say. And that makes sense. But on the wing, they got nobody, man. Especially Bogdanovich gone. You're not going to play like Daquan Jeffries or something, like some guy on the bench, So like the injuries have caught up with the Knicks, and the Bogdanovich thing killed them because that trade, that Grimes trade that we got Bogdanovich and Burks is now a 0 because Burks has that shoulder injury. I know I got hurt sitting on the bench, but then Bogdanovich, he has the wrist thing. He's playing through it, and then it turns his ankle, and he has to get surgery. And he gets like, screw it, I'll get it on both, and we'll see you next year. And that sucks, because even if he came in like he did one of the games, I think it was game 2. Or I don't remember. I think it was game 2 where it's just like he comes in and he just hits 2 threes. Like, that's it. He just came in and hit 2 threes, the whole points of the game. Those 6 points are huge. You know what I mean? It just allows someone to rest. But now it's like, because like, look at in the playoffs, every basket matters. Like, Campaign, he comes in with his weird shot and hits a couple threes in maybe 2 of the games. In game 3, he did, I think, also. And it's just, that helps the Sixers so much because they're so top heavy. They need somebody else to score. Like Tobias Harris last night stepped up finally for them and scored, So it is what it is, man. It's the other guys that win the games. Like Shaq always says, the role players win playoff games.
Yeah, but you look at Philly's 2 wins. It took epic performances from Embiid and Maxey.
Right.
It did take that. Now at the same time,
the Knicks are better.
The Knicks are. You see though the deficiencies of the depth playing a factor. So like when DiVincenzo doesn't play well, the Knicks struggle. Knicks in game 4 in the third quarter towards the end, I believe, got back-to-back, or it was early fourth, I don't remember. But they got back-to-back threes from DiVincenzo, who woke up, and it kind of spurred the Knicks ahead. And then, Brunson did his thing in the fourth. But you can see when you get that from DiVincenzo, you get that from McBride, it just kind of bridges the gap and takes us some relief off of these guys. I look at that Nets-Bucks series, and when they had no Kyrie and a hobbling Harden who was a decoy, it was all on Kevin Durant. And, the Nets were playing a much better team in the Bucks. They went on to win the title than the Sixers team is. But you can see when you get the Jeff Greens, you get the Joe Harrises, you need that help in the playoffs, or you have nothing. And I'll be very curious to see how DiVincenzo and McBride play in Philly in a game that they need to show up. I do want to talk about the inefficiencies of the Knicks at the very end of the game. There was a lot of, and I saw this complaint from Knick fans, there was a lot of Jalen Brunson ISO basketball.
That
at
was
the
me.
end.
Yeah, I said that
It
too.
was
Yeah. It was like Mello.
I
It was like
don't.
ISO Jalen. It was like, what are we doing?
Who's
Yeah.
I guess
ISO
if they're
Joe.
not,
Like
if the
your
Knicks
boy.
aren't in, like, they don't have a true second scorer. Who's your second scorer? McBride or
Or
DiVincenzo?
DiVincenzo. If they
Right.
score,
But
that's the thing. They're
for as
so
good as Anunoby is, he can create his own shot a little bit. They
he
don't
doesn't
have
demand the ball though.
He
He's
doesn't
like,
demand
let
the
the
ball.
offense come to me and I'll see
Yes.
what happens.
He,
Yeah.
he which is why he fits in so well wherever you put him on the, but there is
Mhm.
in those spots you can feel the lack of having Randall there.
Mhm.
Whereas the different, like, because I look at that last play when the Knicks were down 118, 116, Brunson goes up, Hardenstein thinks it's going to be a shot, Brunson throws it out of bounds. That's the game. There needs to be a way in tight moments, if Brunson isn't rolling as much, they got to figure out something to get a second score, because you can see that hurt. I can see that hurting the Knicks down the road, and being a problem if they don't have somebody that can step up and score, and the Knicks aren't in their craziness of frantic defense leading to offense, like that Anunoby dunk that I thought sealed the game. Right? Nick Nurse
Yeah.
changed his approach earlier in the series. Double Brunson, Josh Hart feeding on threes. He said, we're not going to do that. We're just going to let it be the Brunson show. And it paid off there, although it was very dicey. But he didn't let
Well,
it go to
yeah.
other
I
guys.
mean, the Nick Nurse is a punk, by the way. Just one of those guys that it's just, you know, I lost like a lot of respect for him this series too. And like, where did these chains come from that he's rocking under his shirt? And like, you can't even like, oh, he played the I didn't see it, I'm blind, thing with the Embiid flagrants. It's just, come on, dude. And then last night he also broke his finger. I heard he slammed his hand so hard on the scores table he broke his finger that he couldn't draw up plays. It's just, I don't know, man. You can't. I don't give him credit for the Sixers coming back in Game 5 and winning, because they had some miraculous shit happen with Maxey. Like, I wasn't giving Tibbs credit in Game 2 because some miraculous
I'm
shit
just telling you,
happened.
he changed his.
So Nick Nurse,
I'm telling you, he changed his
whatever.
approach. The approach changed with the Josh Hart feed threes. He said he didn't allow. He changed his approach, and he went to allowing just it to be make Brunson do everything. And he changed it. I'm not. As far as Nurse, losing respect with what he has to say, he's going to defend his players. I have no problem.
There's a way to do it without being like, I'm blind, I didn't see it.
Okay,
I can't read that.
But
I'm
I don't
blind.
blame.
Bro, you saw it.
He's got to defend his guys. I mean, he's got to, even if you don't like it, he has to do it. Like Tibbs with the 2-minute report said, well, what about the other 46 minutes? Now that's a little more clever.
True.
And it's a little more.
And that's also true. It's not a lie.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, Nick Nurse is lying.
Well,
like, lying.
Well, that's okay. Nick Nurse is lying. Tom Thibodeau isn't right. That's his opinion on the 46 minutes.
Well, there were a million plays in that game. Right, then you can go back and forth.
But yes. So
like,
Embiid, Nurse obviously is lying, but Thibodeau is. But what I'm trying to say is he did a nice, craftier job of saying that. It was was witty. It was. Yeah. It has truth to it, and it's understand. But he's defending his guys, and that was a great way of doing it. He wasn't like he deflected from the 2 minutes and put it somewhere else, which is what you have to do as a coach. You got to defend your guys. You might not like it, but he's got 12 dudes in a locker room. He's got to make sure to respect him at the same time.
Right. If you want to go back to Game 2 when Maxey shoves Josh Hart out of the way before he gets fouled, you know what I mean? Like, you want to do that. They said, it's marginal contact to shove a guy in the chest.
This series is not going to be won or lost on the officials and calls on either direction.
Got to make shots, man. Yeah.
And the difference in games is guys showed up in big plays and guys didn't. And Maxey bailed out Embiid in Game 5. He didn't do it in Game 4. And Embiid looked scared at the end of games. He had a couple of putbacks, and he had
bad turnovers too, man. Bad turnovers. Yeah.
This doesn't technically quantify for it, but he did have a quadruple double because he had the 10 turnovers. I mean, he did.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, it's not a real quadruple double. I'm like, well, it is to me. So
there's 10. There's a 10 there. Yeah, 2 double digits. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he also is not the same. He does not look the same as I remember it from watching him playoff series. He has no lift. And that
no,
he has
no.
none.
Especially especially game
anything.
5. He looked a lot more hurt than he did previously. But
Yeah.
I don't want to hear the excuses. I don't want to hear the excuses
it's
from the
not an excuse.
Sixers.
No, definitely not.
Sixers fans. Oh, Embiid's hurt. Well, look at our roster. You know what I mean? We're without Randall and Bogdanovich now, and it's just been injured all year, and they still got to the 2 seed. So I don't want to hear about injuries to Embiid. I don't want to hear about Bell's palsy. I hope he's okay. I don't want to hear about any of that. You know what I mean? Like the Knicks have been fine, and you won't hear the Knicks making excuses. They're just like, all right, next man up, let's go. And that's how they've been. Yeah,
all these teams are beat up.
Yeah,
Miami doesn't have Butler. Celtics now could be without Porzingis for a couple of weeks. We'll see how long.
No surprise there. No surprise.
I think Mathurin of the Pacers didn't even get into the playoffs. I mean, all of these teams have something.
It's a long season, man. Yeah,
and because the playoffs, if you're going to go through it, and go all the way through it, start in April and end in June. So whatever, 6 to 8 weeks. Think about a time in the NBA season between November and January. Same idea. There's injuries. They happen, and these games are a lot more intense than the regular season game between the Knicks and Knick said team. It's a different. It's a different.
Well, level. Not at the Garden. Everything at the Garden is magical, Mike. Everything at Madison Square Garden.
No, the Knick fans have been great. They've showed up. They've done a nice job. I mean, the Garden's been awesome. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it isn't. I don't need to see John Starks every 2 minutes on the broadcast.
You just hate him. I know.
But it's just like, here's John Starks. Here's John Starks. Here's John Starks.
Did you watch MSG or TNT?
TNT.
Oh, yeah. I watched MSG. They had Breen and Clyde. I had to go to MSG. I would always go to MSG.
I don't blame you. I had Ian on, so at least it could. Although it was a little depressing to hear Ian have great Knick calls. I was like,
yeah. Did you like the broadcast on Sunday for Game 4 when it was Richard Jefferson and Ryan Rucco? You just have like a Nets team like doing the Knick game. It's bizarre.
Nets are deep. Nets have a deep. I mean,
deep
the Nets,
broadcast team. Yeah,
as Nets have a very deep.
It's New York, man. You're gonna have the best broadcasting in the world. It's the capital of the world for broadcasting, and New York is. Yeah. And the Nets are in New York, so I get it. Do you think
you're like,
now they're in New York? Yeah. No. Do you think? And I'm gonna one quick Nets thing before we end. I'm not gonna do the Danny Durant thing. Don't you wish you came to the Knicks? But do you think Durant regrets going to the Nets now, seeing what the Knicks fan can do based on the success when they have it and go crazy this way?
No, because I don't think he cared. I think for him, he liked the mellowness. I don't think that's his vibe. I don't think he sits there and maybe like an ounce of jealousy in the moment. Sure, he's a human,
especially when he gets swept in the Phoenix.
But I don't think he's looking at it like, oh man, I really made I regret my decision. That I don't think so. But I'm sure in the moment seeing it, he's like, oh, that's cool. Like that would have been fun. So not fully, but I would be lying if I said completely no. I'm sure he's like, okay, that's cool. It does things have gone wacky, but you guys would have loved Kyrie. I'll say that.
Yeah, really would have loved it.
Because it was that the Barclays Center, it can pop, man. Like I don't want people to diminish that. It can.
No, it did. It did for a little bit.
It did. Yeah. And it actually did at the end of the regular season. It had some.
It wasn't the Garden, but it did.
Right. I mean,
I'm just needling you,
hate
man.
That. I just hate that. I know. I just I will always say this.
Nothing's the Garden, Mike. Nothing is the Mecca. The world's most famous arena.
It's a small arena that has good noise, and Knick fans are loud, and it all comes together nicely.
It's kind of the Knick fans are kind of like Seahawks fans. People like when you watch you hear about. Even I'm a Jets fan, so like who cares about the Seahawks? But I'm just so tired of hearing about Seahawks fans. Fuck off, man! Like so enough.
Annoying. Yeah, I know. It's like
we get it. Like the Seahawks fans are loud.
Oh my God, Meryl Streep can afford tickets to go see the Knicks. Wow. Oh my God. Streep. Oh,
you know what's funny?
Oh my God, there's nothing like it at Broadway. Ugh.
There isn't. It's true. I mean, but if you can make it there. But anyway, so. Seeing the Knicks invade Philly was such a special thing for me because I'm a Jets fan, and I know if you listen to this podcast, you know that I grew up going to games, season tickets, and everything. There was one game that it really stood out, especially in Giant Stadium. And MetLife has been a joke, but like with away team fans coming. But there was one game at Giant Stadium. It was the Steelers Jets during like the Kellen Clemens year. I forgot the year exactly. It was towards the end of the year. The Jets were out of it. And literally 80 to 90% of that stadium were Steelers fans. And you could tell because of the freaking towels.
Yeah.
Like, you know, everywhere.
Great fan base.
And it was, great fan base travels. And that's a quick ride for them going to Jersey from Pittsburgh. So you've done that many times, you know, with your family there. And it's just,
I would say quick. Still
well, it's not quick, but it's drivable.
Doable.
Yeah. You don't have to go through the city. You don't have to fly.
Sorry to interrupt, but I don't want to get fact checked for my wife who listens to it and be like, it's not quick, because I know it's coming. Go ahead.
Well, from MetLife, is it how far is it from MetLife to Pittsburgh?
6 hours.
Okay. That's a drive.
It's
Listen,
doable.
If you're in Pittsburgh, you're like, hey, I can go to New York City for one night and go to the game Sunday, and you know, it's not the end of the world.
Yes.
And it was bad. But at the end of that game, Kellen Clemens had his one shining moment as a Jet and won the game, and the game-winning drive or whatever it was. At the end of the game, it was a close game. And I went out of that stadium talking so much shit. Like, the Jets were out of the playoffs, but I was like, take your towels and shove it up your ass. And like, I wipe my nose, that bullshit. And I was off. I was going off. So like, you know, because it was embarrassing, like, you know, especially a Giant Stadium when that was like, felt like a Jets home crowd every game. You know, obviously there'd be Dolphins fans, Cowboys fans, whatever. But like, it wasn't like MetLife.
Yeah.
So seeing the Knicks fans take over in games 3 and 4 was very, very special for me. And that's why I'm thinking about going game 6. I want to experience that on the road, go to Philly. We'll see. I might go with Buddha, one of our great listeners and friends, Mike Buddha-licious, and Buddha-lish or Buddha-licious at Buddha-licious on Twitter. And we'll see. We'll see how that goes. There's a lot of coordinating now with a baby. It was almost 11 months old. Shout out to Shy, who, if the Knicks win this first round playoff series, has never seen the Knicks fall short of the first round in his life.
Yeah.
So that would be cool. And
that was like, well, it's funny because when
I had that tweet ready to rock, and then it just
Jones,
like,
it's funny because when my son Ryan was, for his first year alive, was Durant's series.
The air ball,
I know
and the foot on the line, and
then it ended. It ended poorly. It didn't go well. So
you're like, is he the lucky charm?
Yeah, he was.
Well, think about it. I told a story about my wife in 2013 when we went to the Cirque du Soleil for Game 6 of Knicks Celtics. That was the first year I dated my wife. I'm like, wow, is she the good luck charm for the Knicks and the 54 wins? And then, no.
It didn't happen. Yeah, the truth is all that stuff.
No, it's just fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Well, if you do go enjoy.
Thank you. And I was listening. Shout out to Evan Roberts again, and Evan and Tiki. I was listening this week about the no hitter with the Severino with the Mets and how why do the superstitious stuff, and
of course
all it comes from is baseball, where they're very superstitious, but like, don't talk to the pitcher if they have a no hitter. You don't want to be the one to get in that person's head. That's really what it comes from. You don't want to be the one to get in that person's head, but then fans sort of adopted it. You can't say anything. You're going to jinx it. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, you're not going to jinx it.
You have to do it.
But as a player, you can't be that guy that goes to Severino like, good luck on that no hitter, buddy. Like,
no, but even as a fan, you feel like you are part of it.
Right.
So you can't help yourself, and you feel like you're. I mean, you feel like you're attached to the Knicks. I feel like I'm attached to the Nets. So
it's a part of it. And my friend Brad, he listens to this podcast also. I watched the game on Sunday. Shout out to all my friends. That's what I'm doing in this episode, apparently. But I watched the game Sunday with him, and he's like, after the game, he told me, he's like, I don't think you noticed, but like, every time the Knicks went on a run, I'd stay in this position on the couch. I'd lean forward when they go on a run, or like they score, or like, I can't move from this spot.
I hate
like,
this. Stop with this talk, because you're just making me angry.
Why? Because you want to sit somewhere so the Knicks lose? Like,
because I have
wear a red hat. Maybe the Knicks will lose.
No, because the Nets are not in the playoffs, and I remember these moments of like the high anxiety.
It's good anxiety, right? It's fun anxiety.
It's fun. It's the payoff is there. I mean, when when Maxey hit that 3 to tie the game, I was whoa, and it was unbelievable, and the Sixers did a really good job at the end of that game not fouling Brunson. They knew they had 28 seconds on the clock, and they were smart. Trap Brunson, he make him get rid of. See if you can turn him over. He doesn't. Make him get rid of the ball. And there's a liability on the court because Mitch was on the court, and if God forbid the ball went to him, that would be a disaster. But it went to Hart, and although Hart's a 79% free throw shooter, he has come up short in big moments on free throws. And for whatever, as great as he has been, he gets nervous at the free throw line when it matters. And I've seen it multiple times now. So that and that second free throw danced around the rim. That was close to not going in. So that was a nice that gave the Sixers life. And then Maxey, of course, hits the unbelievable 30+ foot 3-point shot to tie
the Knicks
game.
have had problems at the line, man. What were they last night? They were 16 to 24, 66% from the line.
Philly?
So like
Philly was bad too. What was Philly?
Philly was 68, 13 and 19. So they had less, so the Knicks got the line more, but hit your free throws, man. It's the simple things, you know what I mean? Like I know Mitchell Robinson can't shoot. So like he misses, he shoots like 40%. So
yeah, his shot is broken.
Yeah, it's just a line drive, like, it's just so surprising to me. Like people who are so like
good at basketball
can't shoot a free throw, like 60%. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, but Jalen Brunson missing 3 free throws is big. Josh Hart missing 2 is big. Like he can't do
big
that.
Moments too. Maxey missed a lot of free throws late.
Right.
You'd, by the way, Alex, would not shoot 60% in the NBA.
No. I'd say in the 50s, do you think?
Yeah, here's why. Because I do believe you in the driveway, 70%, something, whatever it is.
Shoot or shoot, man. It doesn't matter what's behind you. I can shoot.
I put you in a big spot in the playoffs at the free throw line to put your team up 3 or 4. You ain't hitting those shots.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Free throws, I'll hit them.
No. I'm taking you right now. No experience in the NBA, going in front of rowdy fans or in that pressure.
Money.
No way.
It's wet.
No, every time. If it ever happens where you're in an NBA playoff game magically and you morph into Josh Hart's body, I'm going to bet on no. But we'll never.
Let's get the Oculus and we'll try
see what happens. All right, this has been Bad Weather Fans, episode 218. Sixers get the win in New York. Game number 6 will be on Thursday evening, 9 o'clock Eastern. Is Alex going? Is he not going? I imagine you'll tweet if you are, or will you not?
I never. No, we'll see. We'll see. Yes.
Feed me that Anobi stat. No.
Yes. We'll see. I'll let you know. I'll know by the end of today because I have to coordinate with the nanny and with my wife and see if this will work. But I wanted to go to a Knick game at the Garden, but it's like $700 for like section 107. Where
you're not Meryl Streep, man. Unfortunately,
sorry. But I was shout out to Anthony Donahue. He's doing those suites. So I was thinking about doing that, which is like $600, but you get food and you're in a suite, and that's kind of dope. But we'll see. We'll see. I also got to get someone to come with me. I'm not going to a game. I'm not the kind of person that can go to a game.
I'll do it.
Go to a game.
If I pay.
If I pay for 2 tickets, I'll take my wife.
I'll sit next to you and just root for the other team. I don't care.
You would go to the Garden, Game 7, to watch the Knicks clinch.
Yes, and I'll tell you what. If I'm not paying.
Yes. But for free, you would go.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. As awful as it would be, first, they're the 2 seed. They're expected to win. If I got to leave the Garden on a loss, that would be the highlight of my basketball season. To be in that building, and
season ending,
and just be like, bye, Ben, bye, Tracy, bye, John, bye, Larry, bye, Bernard, bye, Pat. If I got to do that, the joy that I would receive from that moment. And I hear everybody listening now because I know, Lee, you get to this part of the podcast.
Don't give Evan ideas if he's listening to the end of this podcast.
I know you, but the tears that I would get a bucket and I would stand outside Madison Square Garden. And I would say, drop your tears in this bucket. Then I would take that bucket of tears and I would plant a garden in my backyard and I would grow a tree of Knick losers just popping up in my house. Then I would take an axe and I would cut down that tree. And I would take the tree and I would turn it into wood and I would start a fire and I'd have the fire smoke go into the air and we'd all say, adios, New York. And it would be a joyous, beautiful moment.
That was kind of poetic, actually. I was like, I would let you rock. That was actually pretty good. You kept
but
going.
Yeah, I would. For that reason, yes, it would be brutal. It would be brutal to be in the Garden for the first Knicks home. For the first Knicks win at home to advance in a playoff
series clinching, yes,
in 25 years, I'm sure it would be not fun.
Right.
On the other side, chance to see a 3-1 team lose for me and my hate for the team would bring me joy.
Okay. Well, then I stand corrected.
But and
Knicks fans were outside the Garden after last night with it's just the stupid
I respect
TikTokers.
It.
They're standing there. There's somebody with a camera. Like, what are we doing? You lost. We lost. Like, why are we standing?
Yeah.
They weren't celebrating, but they're all standing around. Somebody has a camera and they're all trying to get on TV. Everybody's holding their phones up, and it's just so stupid, man. What are we doing?
Well, that's Knick fans, Alex. Stupid.
That was very stupid. Okay.
I don't know. I think
I
it's
don't
a younger
condone that.
generation. It's a younger generation.
I know, but like you
It's
lost.
not even Knick fans.
You
It's
lost.
it's just yeah. Well,
Clout chasers, we call them. Clout chasers.
It's still we know we're and now the cameras are looking for them. It's a whole thing, and just the way that area is built so perfectly for those moments,
right? Like, especially now with the construction and
sardines. Like there's no room to spread, right? And most teams, unlike the Nets have this, but I don't know every city, so I apologize, but teams don't play in their downtown a lot of times. Or like the Sixers.
Right, the Nets funnel out right to the subway, and it's just right into that. Yeah,
well, like the Nets can have it, the Knicks can have it, but most teams play in a parking lot somewhere, and
everybody just goes out.
And it's a different vibe. You're in the city, and
like think about MetLife. You come out and 4 different exits, and everybody just spreads out. Yeah, I mean you're cheering going down the stairs or whatever, but you're not like congregating to jump up and down with each other.
Or City Field, it's just you're just in some parking lot, just not the same look.
Right.
And there's
no like Hooters across the street or like let's go party.
I'll remind people of this. It's not like you're a Met fan, and then when you get into the Garden, it's like superpowers erupt. I'm now a Knick fan, and everything I do turns into times 10. Like fireballs come out of your hand. You're the same guy that's complaining.
You're in Manhattan. It's more exciting.
Yes. Thank you. This has been Bad Weather Fans, episode number 218.
I lost it.
The internet went down. Alex said he lost us, but at the moment of time, that's what you're getting. If you got this far in the episode, you ain't getting no edits. All right, Alex, we'll talk to you later.
All right. Talk to you soon.